100 hours, 100 stars. In spite of a couple of technical difficulties, we finally have the man here. I've broken into a cold sweat just to get the technology right. But Mr. Tarun Tahiliani, thanks so much for joining us. And I hope this time around we can do this, yeah?
I hope so too.
All right, Tarun, thanks so much for joining us. First off, a very, very good day to you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You're currently in Delhi, aren't you?
Yes.
Fantastic.
I've been here since the lockdown, yeah. I live here, I work here as well, so.
Yes, I've read a lot about your sprawling mansion.
No, not so sprawling.
Yes. Well, Tarun Tahiliani, thanks so much for joining us as one of the most revered couture fashion designers across the country, across India, having represented us globally, as a name to reckon with. This is a situation that is so unique. Have you seen something like this from 1987? This pandemic situation?
No, I think we've never seen anything like it. I was telling my children, I said we had such a lucky run because we were born in the 60s. I mean, there was one little, short war. There was, one little emergency, but we were too young to, know the difference. And it's been a smooth and really India's progressed a great deal. And we've lived through exciting times. And so almost nobody in their lifetime will have everything all smooth. And, right now we're all in this together. And it's no one's making it. Something tragic that's unfolded elsewhere. And I think one has to take many lessons from this. It goes across nationalities, it goes across boundaries, and it grows across all kinds of economic barriers. So it reinforces that we are one lot of people on this planet. And we are so fussed by making so many differences, whether it's color, caste, religion, boundary, financial, and it's just crazy how much time we spend. And it's actually, in a way, a great thing to know that something like a little virus that we can't see with our naked eye has leveled everybody, or it is a leveler, not leveled. We don't want to see more people leveled. I think it's had enough leveling there. So we're all in this together, and, but the repercussions of this are huge. And we had seen this coming because we could see that, our business is about celebration. And the last wedding happened on the 15th of March. And everyone was nervous, and half the boys' side couldn't get here from America. So a friend's daughter marrying an American. So his parents made it, his brother made it, they just whizzed in, did the wedding and flew back. And it's kind of, and then it sort of spiraled, and we had the lockdown, and then we went straight into a lockdown. I would really have loved it if there was a little more planning and we could have planned for this month and a half of sitting at home. It would have been good for our own sanity, and it also is good for what will happen when you come out of this. But anyway, we got very busy because the first problem was starvation. So many migrant labor were, just running them loose. So we're running a soup kitchen outside the factory in a municipal school with 2 other factories. We're now feeding 2,700 people twice a day, but we can't stop it, And we're thinking about what to do next because no one knows what's going to happen. But I guess, it's everyone's in this together. Like I said, it's affecting every business besides pharmaceuticals or one or two. And I don't know, no one knows what the final damage will be, but I hope the cure was not more difficult than the actual original problem that we had. Let's see.
Absolutely. Well, that I have to say with respect to what's happening at this point in time, Tarun, is the fact that, with people like you across the board who have, completely come out there in support, I want you to make a big shout out to the country. Anybody who's watching this is 100 hours, 100 stars across the Fever Network, across the Hindustan Times Network. What's your shout out to everybody out there, especially about, trying to see if they can do their bit in contributing to the PM Cares fund, because that's something that the Prime Minister has put out there and has opened it out to the public, to industrialists, to celebrities like you, to normal people like me, to do whatever it is, to do our bit to help the country and all the COVID warriors on the front line. We have left a link here for people to click. Tell us a little bit about at least the reaction. In terms of the reaction time, though we didn't really like it, this lockdown has helped us in reducing the overall numbers. We've seen it compared to other countries. So tell us more about that.
Well, I hope it has. Yes, it definitely has. And it's also possible that we have a stronger resilience or a resistance because we live in much harsher conditions in India than people who live in all these Western countries. They're very sterile, and so their stomach immunity, what they can fight off might be, different. They have a different kind of strength, but we have it in this area. I think that it's so important for everybody to do their bit. The first important thing is to be responsible. So you don't become a carrier. So you don't unwittingly, translate or infect people because you're not asymptomatic or whatever. So the first thing is to be responsible to that and to remember that everybody can help in some way. There are people from the craftspeople who are making masks. Of course, people who can give, financial donations either to the Prime Minister's fund. Some people give it for food. Some people give it to Dastakar, for craftspeople, whatever it is, as long as it's helping somebody, because I think the kind of devastation we're going to see from this, both at an economic level and also displacement of people, and people are now going hungry because there's a very large population in India who lives by their wits. I mean, they work and they're called daily wage because they earn every day to spend every day. And when you have a lockdown, all these people, everyone you see at the corner, your barber, your mochi, your blindwala, people on construction sites, and there are millions of them, they don't have an income. So that's going to be at a small level. There'll be bigger airlines. Airlines will have problems. Fashion will have problems. Auto will have problems. Those are mega problems, And, there'll be issues of food and health. It's something that I can't even imagine what, our leaders are going to have to face and what the business leaders. So everyone has to come together. Everyone's a leader in their field, in their area of expertise, If you're a housewife sitting at home, well, you make sure that you run the home in a certain way and you make sure people are clean and healthy and garbage. So everyone has a role to play. And I think that's what your big effort is. And I'm glad I hope that people will support it fully. I'm sure they will.
Absolutely. Tarun, for everything that you're doing right now, that's something that's a big shout out that you have given. But I want you to just, go back in time and let's make some good memories right here on the show because, all the stars, including you here, are also here to add some fun to everybody watching this, whichever social media platform they're watching this on. I'm taking you back to 1987, which is when all this began. Your dad is an admiral. You coming back from Wharton Business School. Tell us about how that transition to fashion happened and how, then, of course, the rest is history. But that starting phase with so many young people out there who want to pursue their passion, whether it's passion or otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I know. I think and I also feel terrible for all the young people because at a moment like this, to be graduating, to be starting a career in a market that's going to be so contracted, it's going to be tough. But of course, luckily, the young people today are much smarter than we were and much more driven, I think, and much more focused. Well, I came back from Wharton and India was still, I had to come back because my father was becoming chief of naval staff and he had to buy the government's order, couldn't do it if he continued. He was a trustee in this company that my mother was running for her father. No one was alive anymore. And so I came back, I had no experience. I was suddenly running oil field equipment and machine tools. I was working underneath the managing director, of course. But I was bored out of my skull, and it was not a life for me. And, there's a good thing. We were quite broke. I was married to my college sweetheart, and she went to try and be an usherer at a big Pierre Cardin fashion show. Pierre Cardin was a very big, fantastic French designer at the time, and he was coming to Bombay, and they were only bringing 5 models, and she got picked, and I saw my first show. And it was a eureka moment because I'd sketched all my life, but we didn't grow up thinking there was an industry like fashion. Today, youngsters have a million options they can do. And, us parents are encouraging and will send them to schools. At that time, fashion was sewing in a polytechnique for women. It was under home sciences, how to mend a button, how to make yourself a shalwar, I guess. Because we actually came from a textile industry. We didn't really have a fashion industry in the Western terms of the word, So it was mostly a sari-wearing country. You could wear your grandmother's saris even today. But abroad, no one's going to wear their grandmother's dresses, unless they want to look like they're from a different era. So that's how it all started, One thing led to another. She was shooting a campaign. Rohit Khosla was the stylist. We talked about all these wonderful Indian talents who had no place to showcase. And because we had that machine tool showroom empty, we decided to use it to convert it into a very fine store that would show the best of Indian design, but not show it jammed, like sardines as all Indian stores were. Although there were a few very nice stores like Raviso. But to start a new way of celebrating, acknowledging, understanding, and educating India, what this contemporary Indian fashion design scene was about. And that's how that journey began.
And that's
Stuff.
how On Storm Lure born, and then
On
from
Song was
then.
born, yeah. And we ran that, and then I decided I wanted to design more, and I went off to study, back to study this time fashion and the techniques of fashion, and then I came back. And then I moved to Delhi because I felt that Delhi was sort of the fashion capital. Delhi had summer, Delhi had winter, and Delhi was more Indian. And we're about Indian fashion. So,
Absolutely.
and
Even
here I
now,
am.
Instagram page, yes, even now on your Instagram page, I love the fact that you've started a new series amidst all of this where you're explaining, what brocade is and, what a bandhani is and what the embellishments
Well,
are. It's beautiful.
it was all part of the thing, and I'm so glad it's had such a great reaction. It's come. Several TV channels have actually also put it on, and all we're trying to say, because I was so concerned. One of the things we were upset about was what's going to happen to all these craftsmen. Not people who work for me; they'll get work hopefully, but they exist all over the country. I mean, we don't matter in terms of the size. And so we said it is a campaign to make people aware and help our heritage. It's actually to make them aware because a lot of youngsters don't know the difference between one or the other. I mean, they wear much casual things, they have a different life. So we were showing that over the years, whether it's contemporary fashion or classical fashion, there's brocades, there's bandhani, there's chikankari, there's Indian chikan. There's so many different techniques that weave themselves into a contemporary Indian story. And we want people to be aware because now if we are to support these people, it's not, well, you'll donate one time, you'll donate once or twice, but we have to change and be Indian and buy Indian. We have to support our heritage, and designers like me have to make it modern. So you don't think you're wearing your grandmother's sari or you'll wear it, okay, at that one wedding. It has to come into our everyday life. Like the Italians use their heritage and the French have their heritage. We Indians need to celebrate our heritage more. Not just at weddings, but in everyday life. Because there are going to be no big weddings. I think that wedding in Karnataka took care of that. So last week,
You did see that, all the
I
bling,
did see, you
right? And
couldn't miss
a
it.
bit all of
You
that.
couldn't, at what things, only 50 people, but still.
All right. That brings me to my next question. The wedding season, the big fat Indian wedding, is it going to be forgotten in 2020? What do you think?
I'm afraid I think it'll have to be forgotten because till there's a cure or there's a vaccine, you can't have anything big or fat. I mean, you can have 20 people, 25 people. They'll be very small, very intimate. They will still wear even more beautiful things because everything will be seen up close. The quality will be seen. You can wear thread work because it's so intimate that everyone will notice. It's not thousands of people with you on a stage. That's over for now. I don't think, unless something miraculous happens, and that miracle is the cure or the vaccine. People are, who's going to risk themselves? They're not going to fly. They're not going to go to destination weddings. I was joking with someone saying all our clients are sitting in London and New York every summer. Well, guess what? Everybody's going to be in India. No one's getting on a plane. They're all closing their borders and there are no planes. So it is a huge change of lifestyle for people. And we humans love social contact, right? We can't live in isolation.
Absolutely.
And we love to dress up. I mean, fashion, if you're, it's for someone, it's just to cover their body. For someone, it's modesty, but it's sensuality, it's sex appeal, it's power. It could be different things to different people. Everyone loves it and will continue to do it. And as long as people are living with people and want to engage and share and feel good, it's always going to be important. We're tired of seeing people in sweatpants. We're all sitting in sweatpants in this lockdown. And I was suddenly looking at some old bridal and couture pictures and saying, wow, because my eyes have not looked at those images for over a month and a half.
Right.
Since the 15th of March, when I went to the last wedding. We're almost in May. And God, it's stunning when you suddenly look at it. And in fact, so in our new Instagram, the next column we're doing on the series of draping, I'm even using other Indian and French designers and putting them on and saying, look how beautifully this is draped. It's fine. It's a heritage. We have to think about, I think this, for me, the silver lining of this lockdown has been that I've really had time to myself to think if I didn't have time to think, I mean, if it was normally, I'd say, I have to go to this museum, I have to go here, I have to be this. You know, you still make it. Sarkarji has locked me up and said, sit at home. And therefore, I've been forced to think about other things. For that, I'm very grateful. I think we'd
Absolutely.
forgotten that.
Do
I've
you
even
think
restricted how much TV I watch. I only watch like 45 minutes because others that becomes addictive. Too much bad news, you know.
Absolutely. It's either the TV or for a lot of young people out there, they're just Netflixing or Amazon Priming and just
Yeah, yeah,
chilling.
yeah. But you know, it's a
You're not
different kind of. I don't want to be a couch potato. I want to make better use of my time. So.
Tell us, what's your big tip to all the young people out there who right now, a little confused, to be honest, because a lot of their exams have been cancelled. They don't know what is the
Yeah,
future.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
those are. I mean, my niece is meant to graduate from Swarthmore. Her last semester has been cancelled. Graduation's been cancelled. And they won't even have a graduation. I don't know. Now, how will the whole class make it back? I have to be honest. It was already a very hard and competitive world, and technology has moved fast, and a lot of jobs have been, taken up into a new world economy, which is not for everybody. But this is going to make it 100 times harder because this is like I feel we're not in recession, we're in depression now. I think there's so many people are not going to have jobs, and I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, we always read about the Great Depression as something abstract. Well, it's at our doorstep. I'm getting messages every day from people from another life saying, help me, help me. We have no money for food. There's going to be no jobs. If I was somebody young right now, I would throw myself into, it's different if I had a family business or whatever, or I wanted to go into something like teaching. I would throw myself into something more social oriented. Like, let's say, abroad they'd have the draft of the army you go to for 2 years. So you're not trying to do, it's not about money, but you're just engagement and learning something. Whether it is you want to go to learn with the craft center, or, go to work with Anna Hazare in South, I mean, whatever it is, find alternate things. You might have to put your normal career plans on hold because there's going to be a huge surplus out there. And you don't want someone to hire you because you're cheap or free. I mean, you've got to have some value, I think. And that's what I would do. And they mustn't take it personally. It's not personal. It's not. They mustn't internalize it, and they mustn't let their confidence be eroded. It's not about them. It's unprecedented what's happening, and I think it's very important for all of us to constantly be reminding the younger generation and reassuring them that somehow we will find a way to regenerate. But until then, I mean, if I got out and I couldn't get a job for a year, I'd be finished. You know what I mean? I get it. So I think it's something we have to think about.
Fantastic. It's about regrouping and figuring things out. Now, from the
Yeah,
world of
but there are a lot of people to regroup in this country.
absolutely. Well, that's something that's definitely a call out. And I'm sure like social entrepreneurship is definitely a way to go for a couple of months. And I see that a lot of people helping other people at this point in time.
Well, also to keep your mind, to be engaged, to have a purpose. We all need a purpose every day. I mean, and a lot of people are trained the purpose was money. Well, it can't be right now. You have to have a much higher purpose, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is to just reach out and help other people and put the smile on somebody else's faces. Talking about
Well,
smiles, what is the fraternization between all the designers, in your league at this point in time? Is there more camaraderie now? Because I did see something that you are doing with Manish Malhotra and, something that you are doing to, raise some money. I think it's for the artisans. I'm not sure what is it
yeah,
that I
well,
saw.
we've been raising some money for Dastakar. We asked some of the designers. I'm going to do something for Shantanu and Nichol's Instagram because they're doing conversations with people from the design industry to see how one can connect and help. Unfortunately, I think in design, for some reason, people tend to be quite competitive. We've always run ensembles, so we always work with everybody. And people say, why are you running it? You're breeding your own competition. And I said, no, it's a wonderful country with millions of talented people. It's not that, there's many different ways to express yourself. So it's not that I'm seeing more camaraderie or whatever at all. I think that they're being much more sensitive, and everyone in design is appreciating more than ever before the craftsmen and the unrecognized hands that sit in our different ateliers and in Lucknow, and in, Farrukhabad, and in outside Calcutta and Howrah, and how much exquisite work they've done. I made a commitment that with the Craftsman we'll do even simpler things, and we'll even sell them on lower markups just to keep the wheels moving for them. We're going to be very flexible now, but we can't let them down. And it's also our culture, our tradition. And it's hard earned and kept because we were brought up in such a silly westernized way. I felt like had to teach myself everything after the age of 18, when I went out there because,
Right.
we were being raised as wogs. So.
Absolutely. Tarun, the good bit about, having you here today is that I can slightly switch to a nostalgic mode in the last, like, say, decade and ask you a whole bunch of really interesting questions, whatever comes on top of your mind, okay?
Okay.
All right. Question number one. What is the one couture week? I know there are a multitude of fashion weeks out there, but a couture week that you associate with most and you are reminded of it in these times, and maybe you wanted to come back in 2021 at least?
Well, for me, I would say it's the India Couture Week because that's where all the beautiful new bridal fashion is shown, and there's so many exquisite things that show. It's usually in July, and it's a kickoff for the whole season. I like that a great deal. I wish everything would go back to being one fashion week for the whole country, and everybody would join.
Right.
So I go back to the excitement of 15 years back, but it'll happen too.
Absolutely. There's so many out there, but it's nice to see.
Yeah, people look at me and say, another fashion week. I'm like, no, 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 no. Okay.
Right. What is your fondest memory in the last, like, I think now 3 decades of you doing this almost, of you, like connecting with what you do most? Like, is there a story that you remember personally where you said, okay, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm meant to do and this is what I will continue doing? Even during this lockdown, you have had, had time to reflect.
Well, I think my reflection has come, I mean, bridal became a very big thing, but I feel bridal's become quite out of hand. It's so over the top and, even trying to be royal, royal, royal. So I feel like a pushback. I love India modern fashion. I love things a little lighter, a little cooler. I think when people wear clothes with their own attitude rather than being drowned by something, it's so much more beautiful. It's not necessarily less, it's sometimes higher quality because it's not all this thick work. I feel like the time has come to go back to that fantastic mix, where Indians, we speak in English, but we don't have to dress either Western or Indian. We have to find a very cool medium that becomes us today, that's in between, that reflects us at every moment.
Absolutely. And I think you've definitely nailed it. And you have so many like techniques and, designs that are out there that are breathtaking. Every time I
Thank you.
see something pop on my feed, I have a smile on my face. Next question here is a personality, a celebrity who you've always really loved dressing up. I know you do so many weddings, you do so many, big weddings. You also do big couture weeks. But
Well,
somebody,
I mean, you can't. I mean, there are so many lovely, women who are also individual in many ways. That it's always hard, and you don't want anyone to feel bad. I've dressed so many beautiful brides. I can't single anybody out. And we shot lovely campaigns in the early years, both with Katrina and with Deepika, and we've done wonderful things. Shilpa's worked for me for years and brings the clothes to life, as did Meher Jaisia. And there are many, Archana Kumar from Bangalore, the lovely Bangalore model who's in every campaign. So all these people bring a different life to it. I think designers like me will always have many muses.
Absolutely. I mean, the muse keeps changing. I love what you did with Priyanka Chopra, that black sort
Yeah.
of. Yeah, I really
Well, I
like
mean,
that.
she's so modern. She always wants to be modern. And it
Right.
had to be a sari, so we just,
Yeah,
swept
there's a
it around.
sort of a drape, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Tarun, tell us, you're sitting in Delhi right now, but what is one city or a town in India that you find incredible to go to visit? Maybe the artisanship in that place is just beautiful, just the sights, the sounds. Because we can't travel now, maybe we can reminisce.
But for me, I mean, if I'm looking textile, of course, it's Banaras, there's no question. And if I want a lot of fine work that I do, it's Lucknow. But as a city, take me any day to Rajasthan, because every city in Rajasthan for me is magic. And it's so romantic, and the architecture is beautiful, and the women in their colors, and those men in those big safas, although that's also going, and the forts, the palaces, the language, the food. I mean, just their love of music, and, and all that color against the starkness of the sandstone. I mean, to me, there's nothing like it in the world. It knocks me out every time I go there,
Wow.
and
And
I can go there again and again and again, and I will.
I know, absolutely. It breathes royalty, colors, all the beauty in the world. I
It's
love,
just actually it's an Indian life. I
yeah,
mean, we were associated with royalty because of two, three palaces, and of course, Gayatri Devi was the most elegant. Where was Gayatri Devi ever overdressed? The most elegant, understated woman. I don't know what we've defined as royalty, but the Jaipur royals are very understated, all of them. But it's just a stunning life, a way of life, and it has magic, all over. But Udaipur, Jodhpur, oh my God, Jodhpur, stunning. Whether you're the Umaid Bhavan or you're the fort, that fort knocks you out. Or, my dear friend, the designer Raghu Rathore, Ajit Bhavan, each one exquisite, and their manners, they've kept a tradition. And I feel that in urban India, we've lost tradition. We went from families to being nuclear families to being westernized. We don't know. I mean, now maybe we'll start doing Namaste again. We even lost that.
right.
So in Rajasthan, they've kept it. However westernized, however they went, they speak in a certain way. They greet each other in a certain way. Like with a lot of wonderful Muslim families over here in Pakistan, Salam Alaikum. There's a grace of tradition. We miss that in these big multicultural cities. I think that's the beauty.
And that's something that's possibly going to come back because no
I
place
don't
to
think
go
it's going to. It's not
outside.
going to. It's not going to come back. We're going to now, as modern
We are going
Indians,
to go back.
No, well, you can't go back. You have to redefine what these are.
Right.
Everything will change. You can't go back. Nothing goes back. It only moves forward. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's everything's going to change. But we will now develop in this post-COVID India, perhaps a slightly gentler way. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say because we're also getting so Americanized with all this Netflix. The next generation. I mean, that's reality.
Absolutely, and that's where you strike that middle ground, right? In the south of the country, because I'm from Bangalore, what's the one place or state that you go to where you love the food? Because I'm switching to food now. From Rajasthan, I'm going to bring you down and
Well,
ask what you like.
I'm married to a girl from Andhra, so it's Andhra, the best food. I can't. I even have an Andhra cook. I just love that food.
Right, it is
It
so
is
spicy. Are you used to
fantastic,
it now? Are you used to the
delicious.
spice? Yeah.
Sorry,
Are
I
you used
love
to the
it.
spice? Yeah.
Yeah, they tone it down for me.
Right.
So
That's something they've done. I'm sure the
it's
wife keeps the mirch up though.
no, now everyone thinks it's not healthy, so everyone's much more temperate.
And is doing that.
So
Right. With respect to from passion to homes, your son is doing something with respect to homes. Tell us about what the real estate industry and that part of life, what's happened there.
another disaster from here because of
Right.
COVID. I think real estate was already, I mean, I wouldn't say we're in real estate. We do few small projects. We're minuscule. We're smaller than boutiques. So I wouldn't like anyone to misunderstand or think otherwise of the scale. It's very small and it's very special. And it's, we work as creative directors on some beautiful homes and some hotels. And, we've got some projects in Goa. But everything's going to be very badly impacted by this. Who's going to go out and buy a home? Although, having been locked down in Delhi in a farmhouse, I think the nicest thing is, because these things might happen, the first thing I would do if I lived in an apartment, if I could afford it, was have a nice home, a second home. So when this happens again and again, I could take off because it's changed the experience.
Right.
I mean, honestly, we couldn't complain. There was a garden, there was a gym, there are different rooms. There's no feeling of being claustrophobic. It's been wonderful, and you live with nature. I think that's such an important thing. I mean, I'm dreading having to go out to dinners and all again. I barely will. Because as you go to work, you come home, you work out, you can watch a film, you can read a book. I think that's got to be our life. There's got to be much less. I mean, these cities are much cooler. There are beautiful animals on the streets at night. Here in Delhi, there's the most exquisite Nilgai roaming around. I've seen other Indian cities, elephants, I mean, the birds, it's amazing. All over the world, actually.
Yes, I know, absolutely. We've definitely let Mother Nature heal and the earth looks better.
Yeah, yeah.
Pollution levels
But
have
if she's
come down.
healing so fast,
You're right.
I mean, Anna Winter, I was reading something she wrote today about New York, saying that the sky is so blue, she's never seen it, and she's never, felt such clean air. And the air's pretty clean in New York. In Delhi, it's wonderful. There's no pollution. We've forgotten. We've forgotten. I mean, we have a air thing that, I mean, it's glorious. It's like it was when I was a child. Now, it's not possible that we're going to go back to this because people can't stay locked down. But we have to try and find a middle way because the next time Mother Nature comes back with us with this fury, she
It's
won't
gonna
be
be
this kind. It'll be much worse. And
absolutely.
everyone better believe that. So,
Yes, Tarun, you've left us, with a very happy and a bright thought that when we move forward, we need to definitely acknowledge the fact that just like so many youngsters like Greta Thunberg have put it out there, you need to respect Mother Nature a whole lot more. And that's something that I think is a conscious effort that I think all people have to make, all citizens of the world, right?
but also it might mean you need to reevaluate what you'd been taught about how important is just money and acquisition and materialism, because if everyone thinks like that, then there's no hope for Mother Nature. Now, it's not fair that some people will. We all have to redefine, say, should I travel once a year because, a friend was not sick? I went to see her in London for 3 hours. I mean, something, we're just thinking without going. Now, we have to stop that. They can buy more planes and build more planes, and because it used to cost 30,000 to go to Bombay, it was 4,000 rupees last month. Let's say on Indigo, because there's so many flights, but there's a cost to the environment. Of course, you can just go. You can go to say for a birthday party, you go for lunch. It doesn't matter, but there's a cost to everything. Everything is an equal and opposite reaction. That's what we have to remember when we make our choices.
Well, I love your choice of words and talking about equal and opposite reactions. 100 hours, 100 stars. I know we're all in a lockdown, feeling a little different. People who are watching this still wondering how they're going to come out and get out. But I know there's light and there's hope and there's positivity, and that's what humanity is all about. Your final shout out, Tarun, to everybody who's watching this across India and the world, wherever they're watching this from. What
In
would it be?
whichever way you can, every drop, it's little drops that make the ocean. Whatever way you can, Prime Minister's really fun, anything else around you, in your neighborhood, someone needs help. Gotta do it.
Absolutely, in whatever way you can. And guys, that reminds
Absolutely.
me, there is the PM Cares Fund that we're supporting throughout this, and we have the code and the link here for you guys to click and donate. It's been such a joy and a pleasure.
Thank you.
You
Thank you,
are such
Sarah
a
Jane.
happy man. I finally am not sweating anymore. It's
Ah,
now
that's
just
not it. Now you're glowing. It's wonderful.
yeah, now that it's this conversation is done, this has been such a pleasure. I'm looking forward to meeting you someday in person when this lockdown is down. Now,
I'm
Greta,
sure we will.
yes, absolutely.
Okay. Take
Thank you
care.
very
Lots of love. Bye
much.
bye.
Bye.
Hi guys, I am Stutee. In fact, on air, I'm called Superwoman Ya Stutee. I host the morning show for Fever 104 FM Delhi. And welcome all of you to this biggest digital fest ever. We're calling it 100 Hours, 100 Stars. So like they say, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. और अगर एक चीज इस crisis के दौरान हमने सीखी है, that is that compassion is the only way forward. So we've all come together. I'm sure you're able to see the QR code that is flashing on the screen. You could scan that, and I would again request all of you to donate as generously as possible to the PM Care Fund. Now, right now, okay, I'm very thrilled because I'm going to be in conversation with someone जिनको introduce करने के लिए अगर मैं इतना भी बोलूँ ना that this man needs no introduction, I can actually get away with it because his name is synonymous with solid, fair, credible journalism. Rajdeep Sardesai, thank you so much for taking out time and doing this.
Thank you very much, Tuti, as always. And it's always good to be part of a good cause. I think COVID demands that we contribute to society. So I'm glad to know that you're doing this.
एब्सोल्युटली, इनफैक्ट जो फीवर एफएम के 3 रेडियो स्टेशंस हैं, यानी कि फीवर 104 एफएम, रेडियो नशा एंड रेडियो 1, वी हैव ऑल कम टुगेदर एंड इस घंटे हम आपके साथ होने वाले हैं राजदीप। तो सबसे पहले तो आपके ना ट्वीट्स बहुत टिपिकल होते थे, एक होता था सुप्रभात और एक होता था शुभ रात्रि। और अब आफ्टर दिस लॉकडाउन फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ अस हमारे दिन का क्या टाइम है, क्या रूटीन है, क्या दिन है, कुछ समझ नहीं आता है। सो हाउ इज इट गोइंग फॉर यू?
देखिए, मैं आजकल वो सुप्रभातम और शुभ रात्रि के ट्वीट्स थोड़े कम करता हूँ। रात को मैं एक गाना लोगों के सामने रखता था और दिन को कोई इंस्पिरेशनल कोट, पर मुझे लगता है वापस करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि लोग नहीं तो बड़े डिप्रेस रहते हैं आजकल।
आई नो।
अगर आप इफ यू लुक एट द न्यूज, मैं हमेशा ढूंढ रहा हूँ कि पॉजिटिव न्यूज चाहिए, और बहुत पॉजिटिव चीजें हो रही हैं। लोग बहुत एनजीओ बहुत काम कर रहे हैं, सरकारी ऑफिसर, म्युनिसिपल वर्कर्स, पुलिस ऑफिसर्स, कलेक्टर्स, बैंक एम्प्लॉइज, बहुत लोग हैं जो बहुत काम कर रहे हैं। तो मैं चाहता हूँ कि उनकी भी कहानियां आए लोगों के सामने, और डॉक्टर्स खास करके, डॉक्टर्स आर सडनली द रियल हीरोज ऑफ द मोमेंट। डॉक्टर, नर्सेज,
you do this promo on TV, and I don't know, is it me who kind of noticed it, but you do become very emotional when you're talking about your son, who's also a junior doctor and working. How is it as a parent? Tell us, as a parent, he's a COVID warrior, he's helping the society. Kaise lag raha hai aapko?
Well, look, I don't know whether he calls himself a COVID warrior. He's just a junior doctor. He's doing his second year MS, and I don't like to. I don't think, he wants us to talk too much about him. He sees himself as just another doctor. But I think it's great that, he's in a profession where he can contribute to society much better than being a journalist. ये तो आप जानिए, पत्रकार और डॉक्टर में अब फर्क लोगों को फाइनली नजर आ रहा है। एक एंकर अपना चेहरा रखता है न्यूज पर, लेकिन डॉक्टर जो है वो वाकई काम कर सकता है। तो आई एम वेरी हैप्पी विद दैट। Unfortunately, he's not with us because he's at the hospital in Manipal. So we don't get to see him. So, but he's doing fine, and we speak once a week on Sundays. और ये जो नए terms आ रहे हैं ना, मैं सीख रहा हूँ उससे, एंटीबॉडी।
Oh yes.
क्या वाकई प्लाज्मा थेरेपी, ये प्लाज्मा थेरेपी क्या है? मैंने उसको कल ये सवाल पूछा था। So I'm trying to learn, क्योंकि हम पत्रकार जो है अपने आप को जैक ऑफ ऑल ट्रेड समझते हैं, हर चीज के ज्ञानी समझते हैं, वाकई हमारे पास ज्यादा ज्ञान नहीं है। So these medical doctors, when they come and when I interview them, मैं थोड़ा इंटिमिडेट हो जाता हूँ, यार इनके पास इतनी जानकारी कहाँ से आ गई। So I don't know much, so it's good to have a son who's a doctor, ताकि अगर कुछ चीज आपको पता नहीं है, जैसे मुझे वाकई ये पूछना था कि ये प्लाज्मा थेरेपी होती कैसे है, तो इस तरह की बातें जो है मैं उनसे सीख लेता हूँ। Yeah, but it's good that he's doing a profession which is helping people.
एब्सोल्युटली। अच्छा, अभी राजदीप, हम आपकी दिनचर्या जानना चाहेंगे, स्पेशली अब लॉकडाउन के टाइम पे। आई नो यू ऑफ कोर्स आर गोइंग टू द स्टूडियो, वी डू सी यू ऑन टीवी, यू आर ब्रिंगिंग क्रेडिबल इंफॉर्मेशन टू ऑल ऑफ अस, बट आजकल आपका शेड्यूल कैसा है? आप क्या करते हैं, कब उठते हैं, कब सो रहे हैं, क्या हो रहा है?
बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल है, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि लॉकडाउन ने एक तरह से हमें मौका दिया, समय दिया है कि ज्यादा आप अपने आप पर प्रेशर मत डालो। दिन जैसे ढलता है ना, टेक वन डे एट अ टाइम। एक दिन किस तरह से गुजरता है, बड़े सुकून से आप काम कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि ज्यादा आवाजें नहीं है, कोई आपको ये नहीं कहता यार चलो यहाँ मिलते हैं, पिक्चर देखने चलते हैं, या चलो लोधी गार्डन चलते हैं, वहां मिलते हैं। ये सब लोगों के मन में नहीं है, लोग अपने अपने घरों में हैं, तो आपके पास समय। तो मैं आई गेट अप अराउंड 8:30, मैं लेट जगता हूँ आजकल। उसके बाद 1 आवर वॉक, जो मैं नहीं कर रहा था। उसके बाद लोगों से बात सॉरी प्रोग्राम के बारे में बात, लंच आराम से 1 घंटा।
So all 3 meals at the right time, huh? Healthy food at home.
राइट टाइम नहीं मालूम, लेकिन मैं 6 बजे के बाद स्टूडियो चला जाता हूँ, और तो 3-4 घंटे स्टूडियो में। लेकिन नहीं तो वाकई मैं अखबार पढ़ना, किसी किताब को पढ़ना, कुछ लिखना, समय है। और ये और म्यूजिक सुनना। जब मैं वॉक के लिए जाता हूँ तो 1 घंटे के लिए वो म्यूजिक सुनता रहता हूँ, और मुझे एक सुकून महसूस होता है कि ये भाग दौड़ की दुनिया की 6 बजे की फ्लाइट लेनी है, 5 बजे एयरपोर्ट पहुंचना है, लेट नहीं होना है, वो सब हमारी जिंदगी से चला गया है। और उसकी वजह से थोड़ा बॉडी को रेस्ट मिल रहा है, बॉडी और सोल दोनों को रेस्ट मिल रहा है, इस समय आराम के मूड में है।
It does feel like, yeah, nature has put a pause button की थोड़ा
बिल्कुल। मेरा जो गाना है मेरे मोबाइल फोन पे, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया, ये मेरा एंथम एक तरह से है। लेकिन मेरी असली जिंदगी में ये वाकई हो नहीं रहा था, क्योंकि ब्रेकिंग न्यूज, ये करना है, वो करना है। अब क्या है कि उस भाग दौड़ से वाकई में मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभा रहा हूँ, तो ये एक अच्छी बात है। और हम सब एक तरह से, ये आखिरी मौका एक तरह से है आपको इस दुनिया में, क्योंकि भागदौड़ तो होगी एक दिन। उसके पहले एक तरह से, जैसे आपने सही कहा, पॉज बटन लग गया लाइफ में।
You know, I'm glad you spoke about your ringtone, क्योंकि उसके बारे में मैं बात करने वाली थी। आपको गानों का बहुत शौक है, स्पेशली पुराने गानों का, and you keep tweeting about that. So are you listening to more music? किसे सुन रहे हैं? कोई गाना अगर आप हमारे लिए गुनगुनाना चाहें?
अरे यार देखो, ऐसा है कि किशोर कुमार इज किशोर कुमार, सो 60s 70s किशोर, मोहम्मद रफी, ओपी नैयर, दीवाना हुआ बादल, क्या गाना है। या ये शाम मस्तानी मदहोश किए जाए, मुझे दूर कोई ले तेरी और लिए,
हाँ, तेरी और लिए।
ये जो गाने उस समय के हैं, आदमी मुसाफिर है, आता है जाता है, तो मैं कई गाने आजकल सुन रहा हूँ, लेकिन so
I can't get your video, sir. Sorry to cut you here, but it's your picture and I can't see your video. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
you get the video.
Yeah.
No, I'm listening to a lot of songs because music is the food of life. So I'm watching old cricket, पुरानी cricket matches मैं रात को देखता हूँ सोने के पहले, पुराने YouTube videos। मैं टीवी नहीं देख रहा क्रिकेट के लिए, क्योंकि कोई लाइव स्पॉट नहीं है। उसके न्यूज लोग ज्यादा देख रहे हैं, व्यूअरशिप न्यूज की बढ़ गई है। और मैं सुबह म्यूजिक सुनता हूँ, मेनली किशोर, रफी, आशा, लता, द सेम सॉन्ग। देखिए, गाने जो है ना वो कभी पुराने नहीं होते, गाने हमेशा गाने रहते हैं, नए रहते हैं। सो आई एम स्टिल लिसनिंग टू म्यूजिक and enjoying it.
Super. I'm sure not just me, but everyone who's watching you right now, सबको लग रहा है कि a prime time news anchor, and हमने आप लोगों को देखा इतने heated, intense discussions करते हुए, and full aggression mode में। आज आप थोड़े relax लग रहे हैं, आपने एक बहुत बढ़िया कलर का कुर्ता पहना हुआ है, you're talking about music, you're talking about taking life a little easy. So obviously this lockdown and this period has it's been different for different people. आपकी सबसे बड़ी realization इस period में क्या है? कोई थोड़े philosophic thoughts अगर आपको आ रहे हैं, क्या कुछ आपको realize हुआ?
नहीं, ये है कि हमें हर दिन जो है ना, हर दिन को हमें ज्यादा फ्यूचर के बारे में सोचना नहीं चाहिए। हम बहुत स्ट्रेस तब होते हैं कि यार कल क्या होगा, एक हफ्ते बाद क्या होगा, एक साल बाद मैं कहाँ रहूंगा। हर दिन को हम उस समय में रहे, लिव इन द प्रेजेंट। हम फ्यूचर की ना सोचे। अब कौन जाने कोविड कब तक रहेगा। मेरे दोस्त मुझे मुंबई से फोन करते रहते, यार ये कब तक लॉकडाउन रहेगा। मैंने कहा यार मजा करो, मौज करो, घर पे बैठो। मैंने किसी को कहा यार शायद मई के आखिर तक ये लॉकडाउन रहे। अरे बाप रे। मैंने कहा क्यों, वाई, अरे बाप रे, दिस इज अ ग्रेट अपॉर्चुनिटी टू रेस्ट योर बॉडी। मैं समझता हूँ कि हम भाग दौड़ की इस दुनिया में हमने हमारे बॉडी के साथ ज्यादती की है। यहाँ से खास करके एयरपोर्ट में दौड़ना, मैं 6 बजे की फ्लाइट नहीं लूंगा। मैंने एक निर्णय लिया, 6 AM फ्लाइट नहीं लूंगा, ओनली इन एन इमरजेंसी, नहीं तो नहीं लेनी है। कौन उठेगा 4 बजे, 4:30 बजे विंटर के महीने। 1 साल पहले इसी समय चुनाव हो रहे थे। हर हफ्ते हम कहीं ना कहीं जा रहे थे, कश्मीर एक दिन, दूसरे दिन केरल। और मैंने कई फ्लाइट्स ऐसे लिए 6 बजे, फिर वापस आना अगले दिन सुबह। वो अब मैं नहीं करूंगा। बॉडी को मैं अब रेस्ट दूंगा। मैं ये कुर्ता तो मैं पहनता ही हूँ, तब भी पहनता था, अब भी पहनूंगा, उसमें कोई फर्क नहीं आएगा। लेकिन सुबह की वॉक, लोग और चिड़िया, हम आजकल हम बर्ड वॉच, मैं और मेरी वाइफ सागरिका आजकल देखते ही हमारे गार्डन में कौन सी कोई नई चिड़िया कहीं आई है क्या, तो उसका फोटो लेकर दोस्तों को दिखाते हैं। तो ये जो इन सब चीजों के बारे में कौन सोचता भी था। तो एक जिंदगी में एक ठहराव है, बड़ा अच्छा वर्ड है, आपने पॉज बटन का हिंदी में ठहराव एक शब्द है, एक ठहराव आ गई है जिंदगी में, बहुत अच्छा लगता है।
वाओ, तो हम राजदीप सरदेसाई का एक बहुत ही शायराना अंदाज देख रहे हैं. यू स्पोक अबाउट लिसनिंग टू द बर्ड्स चर्पिंग विद योर वाइफ. एक बहुत क्यूट पिक्चर आप लोगों ने पोस्ट करी थी सोशल मीडिया में. दिस इज अ throwback picture where you and ma'am are sitting and I see it's a holiday. So you know, how much time do you actually get to spend with your family? How romantic are you in real life?
No, I'm not a romantic person. ये पिक्चर जो है वो सागरिका ने पोस्ट किया है. वो आजकल पुरानी पिक्चर्स हमारे निकालती है और वो पोस्ट करती है. मुझे लगता है करीब 20 साल पहले की पिक्चर होगी. बट इट्स अ नाइस पिक्चर, इट्स अ नाइस मेमोरी. और ये भी चीजें जो है आप पहले नहीं करते थे, वो आप कर रहे हैं, एल्बम देख रहे हैं. क्योंकि आज तो सब कुछ स्नैपचैट या मोबाइल पे आपके फोटोग्राफ्स देते हैं. उस जमाने में आपका एल्बम हुआ करता था. आप उस एल्बम के पिक्चर, तो एक जैसे मैंने कहा, एक जो पुरानी यादें हैं वो एक तरह से आपको रिफ्रेश या करती है. पर एक चीज मैं कहूँ, एक दुख है, हमें सुकून है, लेकिन आप उनके बारे में भी सोचिए. डेली वेज लेबरर्स हो या माइग्रेंट वर्कर्स हो, उनकी जिंदगी, या किसान हो, उनकी जिंदगी बहुत बदल गई है,
बहुत चैलेंजिंग हो गई.
ये जो पीएम केयर फंड है या जो भी फंड्स है, वो उनके लिए जाने चाहिए. क्योंकि उनकी जिंदगी जो है वो एक ऐसे पड़ाव पर आई है जहां उन पर बहुत परेशानियां हैं. लोग अपनी नौकरियां खो रहे हैं, उनको डेली वेज लेबरर्स को पैसे नहीं मिल रहे. सो दे नीड आवर सपोर्ट. तो हम तो चिड़िया देखते हैं और हम एक सुकून की जिंदगी जी सकते हैं, लेकिन उनकी जिंदगी में भी वो सुकून आना चाहिए. तभी मैं समझता हूँ वाकई हम इस एक्सरसाइज में सफल हो सकते हैं.
Absolutely. So guys, you've heard it from the man himself. जो स्क्रीन पे आपको QR कोड नजर आ रहा है, उसे स्कैन करके do donate generously. अच्छा, you know, I cannot finish a conversation with you unless I talk about food, because I know जब आप अपने इलेक्शन ट्रेल पे होते हैं, आप स्पेशली आपका ये शो है, और जितने मजेदार अंदाज में आप पॉलिटिशियंस या आम जनता से बात करते हैं, उतने ही चटकारे ले लेके जो आप टेस्टी खाना खाते हैं. हैव यू हैड अ चांस टू कुक? कैन यू कुक? और इन दिनों में आप किचन गए हैं, क्या किया आपने?
ये मेरे बच्चे या बीवी मेरी हंसी मजाक उड़ाते हैं कि मैं अंडा भी नहीं बना सकता. तो मैंने कल प्लान किया है, कल सुबह मैं ऑमलेट बनाने वाला हूँ. एक गुड चीज ऑमलेट बनाने वाला हूँ. और मैंने, अगर वो सक्सेसफुल, उसमें मैं कामयाब रहा, तो नेक्स्ट लेवल पर मैं प्रॉन करी राइस बनाऊंगा.
ओए सीधा लाइक लेवल.
हाँ, बिल्कुल अलग लेवल पर. बट देखिए, ये सब बोलने की बात है. वो शो में मैं दूसरों ने जो खाना बनाया वो मैं खाता हूँ. लोगों को एक तरह से दिखाता हूँ क्या हो रहा है चुनाव के टाइम पे, किस जगह में क्या खाना पक रहा है. लेकिन खुद खाना बनाना मैं नहीं जानता. पर मैं, दैट इज वन ऑफ माई चैलेंजेस. अगर ये लॉकडाउन में मैं नहीं सीख पाया एक अच्छा ऑमलेट बनाना और एक अच्छी प्रॉन करी बनाना, तो फिर जिंदगी का मजा नहीं आएगा. तो मैं कोशिश करूंगा जरूर. We must all learn. We must all learn one new thing. हर एक व्यक्ति ने कोई नई चीज इस लॉकडाउन में सीखनी चाहिए. तो मेरे लिए कुकिंग is going to be my big challenge.
Wow. So next time I think when I'll be speaking to you, so I would definitely ask you कि वो prawn curry बनी या नहीं बनी. अच्छा, social distancing, obviously we all are supposed to follow that. That's one of the more practical, effective ways of beating COVID-19 and the coronavirus. अगर मैं थोड़ा इसको question को twist करूं, politicians के साथ तो आपको बहुत उठना बैठना करना पड़ता होगा. कोई ऐसे चुनिंदा पॉलिटिशियंस है जिनसे आप थोड़ा सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन करेंगे फॉर लाइफ?
नहीं, देखिए ऐसा है, पहले ये वर्ड जो है ना, ये सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग वर्ड को मुझे लगता है हमने बदलना चाहिए फिजिकल डिस्टेंस. वेरी ट्रू. सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग हमारे देश में एक तरह से पुरानी जो परंपराएं थी, किसी को गांव से अलग रखना है, वो सब परंपराओं से ये देश आगे बढ़ गया है. तो मुझे फिजिकल डिस्टेंसिंग वर्ड अच्छा लगता है. लेकिन किसी पॉलिटिशियन के साथ दूर रहना, अब देखिए पॉलिटिशियन तो हमें खबर देते हैं, आप उनसे दूर कैसे रह सकते हैं? दोस्ती नहीं करनी है, लेकिन दूर भी नहीं रह सकते.
I'm sure ये क्वेश्चन बहुत लोग, जब भी मैंने लोगों को बोला कि आपसे बात होगी तो एक क्वेश्चन बहुत आता है, प्लीज राजीव से पूछना कि आप इतने बड़े बड़े स्टार्स का इंटरव्यू करते हैं, किसी के साथ आप स्टार स्ट्रक हुए कि आप मतलब आप ही एकदम मंत्रमुग्ध हो गए और you had difficulty asking tough questions?
Yes, there are many people like that over the years, particularly cricketers, क्योंकि मैं क्रिकेट का इतना शौकीन था।
Yeah.
तो जब भी मैं क्रिकेटर से बात करता हूँ तो बिल्कुल फैन बन जाता हूँ। क्रिकेटर का मैं बिल्कुल फैन, तो धोनी से बात की या विराट से बात की तो बिल्कुल मैं फैन मोड में आ जाता हूँ। तो उनको एक तरह से उनके साथ आप कह सकते हैं मैं फैन बॉय बनता हूँ। एक बार कई सालों पहले मैंने जीना तमान का इंटरव्यू किया था।
Okay.
And when I was young, I was a great fan of Zeenat Aman. So I think I was for a while sort of,
Yeah.
again.
You think you were blushing?
I was blushing. Deepika Padukone is my, is my today's the heroine that I watch. But look, as a journalist, fanboy moments क्या कहें अब? I'm not a fan of any politician. इतना मैं आपको कह सकता हूँ कि नेताओं से मैं आजकल जितना आपने फिजिकल सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मैं जितना दूर रह सकूं in terms of sort of not getting too close to anyone, it's good for the health. आप अपने सेहत के लिए अच्छा होता है। लेकिन हाँ, क्रिकेटरों के साथ मैं बिल्कुल फैन बॉय बन जाता हूँ। और एक व्यक्ति था नेल्सन मंडेला, मैं उनको 1992 या 93 में मैंने साउथ अफ्रीका गया था, उनका इंटरव्यू किया था। उनको देखकर मुझे वाकई लगा कि मैं एक ऐसे व्यक्ति के सामने हूँ who was truly a special person. I always, people ask me, who would you like to interview? And I always say I would have loved to interview Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah.
And I never, he was sort of before my time. So Mandela is the closest I've seen to that man.
Super.
Something about Mandela, उनके चेहरे में देखकर एक, there was something very special. खास करके उनकी आंखों में.
Yes, yes. I want to say, आपके साथ जब बात करती हूँ, you're one of the most humane journalists I know. You have such wide interests. So obviously conversation लंबी हो जाती है, but I understand you're very busy. आपने time निकाल के हमारे साथ ये chat की है. So I really appreciate that. Before I let you go, if you could share with us कि आज के time पे lockdown है, we're dealing with the pandemic. आपका प्रोफेशन जर्नलिज्म करना, उसमें क्या चैलेंजेस हैं, कितना मुश्किल हो गया है?
देखिए, मुझे लगता है जर्नलिज्म खास करके जो रिपोर्टर्स हैं उनके लिए बहुत मुश्किलात है, क्योंकि उनको उसी एरिया पे जाना है, कंटेनमेंट जोन हो, हॉटस्पॉट हो, जहाँ स्टोरीज है, जहाँ कहानियां हैं। तो वो कैसे वो सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन कर पाए, किस हद तक वो मेंटेन कर पाए, और उन पर एक तरह से दबाव होता है कि स्टोरी लाओ। दूसरी तरफ उन पर अपने हेल्थ के नजर से अगर वो देखें तो वो बिल्कुल कुछ जगहों में नहीं जा सकते। तो मुझे लगता है हर जर्नलिस्ट के लिए इंश्योरेंस होना चाहिए, प्रोटेक्शन होना चाहिए, टेस्टिंग होनी चाहिए। मुंबई में पिछले दिनों में टेस्टिंग हुई और कई जर्नलिस्ट कोविड पॉजिटिव निकले, और कोविड पॉजिटिव निकलना कोई बुरी बात नहीं है, ये भी हम जाने।
वो सोशल स्टिग्मा भी हटाना चाहिए। यस,
हाँ, ये हटाना चाहिए। ये कोई एक इलनेस है जो 14 दिन के बाद 99% लोग रिकवर हो जाते हैं। तो लेकिन हाँ, पत्रकारों पर ज्यादा दबाव है, क्योंकि वो उन्हीं इलाकों में जाते हैं जहां ये कोविड हो रहा है। लेकिन उनको ही क्यों, म्युनिसिपल वर्कर्स हो, गार्बेज कलेक्टर्स हो, डॉक्टर्स हो, उन सब पर ये दबाव है। तो मुझे लगता है, जैसे मैंने कहा, एक तरह से कोविड-19 ने हमें ये सिखाया है, फिर तुम मलबार हिल में रहो या धारावी में, बसंत विहार में रहो या निजामुद्दीन में या जहांगीरपुरी में, कोविड जो है वो न धर्म जानता है, न जात जानता है, न आपकी इनकम जानता है कि आपके पास धन दौलत है, आपको कोविड हो सकता है, आप गरीब है, आपको कोविड हो सकता है। तो ये जो दरारें
लेवलर हो गया है।
बिल्कुल, ग्रेट लेवलर। कोविड इज द ग्रेट लेवलर। वायरस हैज नो रिलीजन.
Virus has no religion, and I think that's a message that nature is also trying to give us. An absolute pleasure, sir. आपको हम TV पे देखते हैं. You, like I said, your name is synonymous with some very brave journalism that we need in especially the times we're living in. And you're such a down-to-earth, humble person. I've had a chance to interact with you, and I always smile through these interviews. बहुत मजा आता है. आपके गाने, आपके your likes, dislikes, your food. Really, it's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, Stutee, and all the very best in your effort to raise funds for COVID-19.
सर जाते जाते एक गाना गुनगुनाएंगे आप हमारे लिए और सारे व्यूअर्स के लिए?
चलिए एक गाना है, मुसाफिर हूँ यारो, न घर है ना ठिकाना। अब मैं आगे चलता गया ना इस गाने में, तो हमारे जितने भी व्यूअर्स हैं वो अब आपका रेडियो स्विच ऑफ कर लेंगे। आई एम अ बाथरूम सिंगर।
No, but it was fun as usual. Thank you so much for doing this. A pleasure like always.
Thank you.
Presenting Fever Network. The power of three. Number one station in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Kolkata. Fever FM, the bop of Bollywood.
Congratulations to all of you for being the number one radio station.
The biggest CSR initiative on radio. Pioneers of radio drama in the industry. Biggest sports tie-ups. Official radio partners of 5 winning IPL teams. Most entertaining shows and RJs. Radio Nasha, India's coolest retro station.
107.2 Radio Nasha. Nasha, 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 Nasha. Gane ka nasha, gungunane ka nasha, sunne ka nasha, sunna.
Celeb RJs. Best of retro. Shows and RJs that take you back in time. Radio 1, India's only international network. The only radio station Katy Perry vibed with. We were there when U2 performed for the first time in India. Global teen sensation Justin Bieber jams with Radio 1. Truly global shows and RJs. Mega Mix, America's Top 40, The Mahindra Blues Show, and more.